good morning. Happy Wednesday, you guys, and welcome to my Workshop Wednesday video for this week. And this week we're talking all about fat loss and hunger, okay? Is it necessary? Is it inevitable that when you're on a fat loss journey that you have to feel hunger? Let's dive into that, okay? If we haven't met, my name is Tara. I am a women's health registered nurse, and I am certified as a health coach, a nutrition coach, and a personal trainer. So I help women get healthy, fit, and strong for a living. It's pretty awesome. And fat loss happens to be one of those topics that everyone is interested in, okay? I'll even say this. When I have fat loss in the title like I do right now, my videos get more video watches, views, okay? It is such a hot topic. It's why people come to me usually. Usually there's an and situation. They want to lose excess body fat and something else. Get healthier, control their blood sugar, something else. But excess fat loss is usually part of the equation. So I get that and I help them with that, but I sort of am like a little trickster. and I do it in a health first approach. So what do I mean by that? Well, excess body fat is not the problem. Excess body fat is a symptom of things being out of whack. It's just a symptom. So while I don't believe in just covering things up with a Band-Aid and that's it, I believe in more holistic approaches, then I address it this way too. When you start to balance things and really get to the deep, the root cause and the underlying issues, then the fat loss happens. It's one of the symptoms that goes away. Maybe also your blood sugar is more controlled, and maybe also your joint pain goes away, or your migraines go away, or you have more energy, or you're in better moods. Those are all, again, just symptoms, just like the excess body fat is. So yes, I work with women who are looking to lose excess body fat, and I feel like a lot of those women maybe stop there because they feel like that's the only thing that they might have a little bit of control over, okay? Maybe they've done some fad diets before, they've tried some things, they've taken off some weight and then it's come back or whatever, a lot of this yo-yo dieting, but they feel like, okay, maybe, just maybe I can wrap my mind around a way to try to lose the excess body fat, right? They're still thinking small. They're not necessarily thinking about that you can optimize your health. We have to create health, right? Our bodies don't just create disease. We also have to create health. It's not a passive thing. We don't just sit around and wait for the health to show up. We have to actually do things to improve our health. And with all of the information that's out there, there's still so much more research being done. So this is a combination of ancient wisdom type things, plus the cutting edge latest research, which a lot of people just aren't studying. Because I get it, it's boring, or you might not have ever been taught how to read a research paper or where to get your hands on it. But you have to combine those two things: the ancient wisdom, the cutting edge research. A little bit of these anecdotes when you're getting stories from other people. When I run my programs and I work one-on-one with clients and I see the things that are working on a massive scale, that's a lot of information too. That's all data. So fat loss is an important topic, but it's just one symptom, right? So when we're taking care of that, we're actually rebalancing everything else at the same time. So let's talk about it. When you're on a journey to lose excess body fat, will you feel hungry? Do you have to feel hungry? How many times do you hear things touting that they, try this diet, you won't feel hungry at all, and that's kind of the thing that everyone wants, right? Everyone wants to get the results without the trade-offs. Everyone wants to have the body that they want without actually having to sacrifice too much or feel any sort of discomfort. And the truth is that's not really possible. Think about anything in your life. Everything that you've accomplished or gone for comes with a little bit of discomfort. You got a college degree, you had to work your butt off, you might have had to pull some all-nighters or whatever. There's always that little bit of sacrifice and trade-off, and that's no different when you're on a fat loss journey, weight loss journey, health promoting journey. It's all the same. So yes, I'm going to say that here's the deal about hunger. Our bodies have a certain amount of fat on them right now, wherever you're at, and in order to keep us alive as a survival mechanism, when we run through all of the food that's currently in our system and our body starts tapping into our fat reserves in order to use that as energy, which is what we want. So by the way, fat, when you're losing fat, it doesn't just like go away. You actually have to use the fat as energy. That's how we get rid of fat. We utilize it. And once we utilize it, it's broken down into some metabolites, and we end up getting rid of that through our urine and our sweat and things like that. But it doesn't just go. We actually have to first take that, use it up as part of our energy that we need for our everyday things, and then that's how it goes away, okay? So once you're at that stage where you're tapping into your body fat stores, your body will turn on this hormone called ghrelin that will tell your brain to tell you that it's hungry, and your stomach will start to growl, and you might have that kind of hollow, empty feeling. Everyone feels hunger slightly differently. You might have like a feeling in your throat when you're hungry. When you're watching, I would love for you to tell me in the comments, how do you know that you're hungry? I know that sounds like a ridiculous question, but we all have different physical signs that we're hungry. So for me, my stomach growls, but I also feel like almost a hollowness inside my stomach. That's how I know I'm really physically hungry. Other people get a headache, or they get lightheaded, or they've got that feeling in their throat or whatever. I've heard it described many different ways. So tell me how you feel when you're getting hungry, physically hungry. So when that's happening, as soon as we start to tap into our fat stores, our body's like, okay, we're having to use our fat stores. Our body wants to keep its fat stores because it feels like that's a cushion in case we have to go through a famine, in case there's a long, hard winter and we're not going to get food. Because remember, our genes are very old. They have not changed. No one's given them the memo that there's a 7-Eleven on every corner and you can get anything at any time, right? So it wants to keep the level of fat that you've got in your body so that it doesn't die. So as soon as you're starting to work through your fat stores, your brain is not saying, this is awesome, I'm going to be at a healthier weight. Your brain is saying, oh shoot, we're going through our fat stores. We have that there in case of an emergency. I better turn on the hunger cues so that this person, me, has increased motivation to go find their food. Because again, remember, no 7-Elevens in ancient times, right? You had to go hunt your food. You had to go gather your food. So that hunger gives us the motivation to get out there and do some things that might be tricky, like hunting or gathering, that we don't feel like doing. And if we were feeling lazy, if we didn't feel those hunger things, we wouldn't want to get our butts out of the cave and go search for food. So now we have all these physical symptoms that put us in more of this like tunnel vision, so that we go and do whatever we can to find food, right? So here we are all these years later, and we still get that tunnel vision, and we want the food immediately. So this is the reason why at the slightest little whisper of hunger, you might be on the search for food. In fact, I've spoken to people who've never even felt hunger in the last, several years. See, literally several years. Is this you? Some people are so afraid of feeling hungry. They don't like that feeling, or they've gotten themselves worked up to the point where they're actually afraid to feel it, that they will do anything to prevent the hunger. So these are people that are eating even before they're hungry at all. They wake up, they're not hungry yet, they're eating. And then 2 hours later, they're eating again. They don't want to wait until that point where they get hungry. And then they're just eating so often throughout the day, or maybe so much throughout the day, that they never feel the hunger. And they've gone years without even knowing what it feels like to be hungry, okay? Which is just such a disconnect between our bodies and our brain. We're supposed to be feeling these things. Now, please hear me that I'm not saying that you should be hungry all day, every day, okay? When I talk about things like our health, our body image, fat loss, I am very, very aware that these are sensitive topics for many, many people. And I'm also very aware that there's sometimes a very fine line between, nourishing your body, eating for health, and also having a problem with disordered eating patterns, okay? So I'm not promoting anyone to do anything that's unhealthy. I'm really just speaking from nourishing your body, having a healthy relationship with food, having a healthy relationship with your own body image. So please hear me when I say that, okay? Because again, can be very, very sensitive. So, okay, so now you're hungry. Let's say you do let yourself get hungry. what you know that what's happening is that your insulin levels are coming down. So now your body is starting to tap into its fat stores, okay? So since insulin levels are down, you're now in fat burning mode rather than fat storage mode. And so your body's gonna start working through its fat stores, which is what you want to happen almost all of the time. Whether you have excess body fat or you're happy with the amount of body fat you have, you still want it to be used up and store some more, used up and store some more, right? It's kind of like fluid. We don't want to retain fluid. That's unhealthy fluid, right? What we want to be drinking water, using up our fluid, drinking water, using up our fluid. We want this constant flow. And the same thing goes for our fat. We want to be able to store fat, use fat, store fat, use fat, okay? And if you have excess body fat, then you really want to be using, and that you want to lose. If you have excess body fat that you want to lose, then you want to be using that up as part of your energy for the day. So you're taking in some of your energy through your food, and then you're also using some of the energy from your body fat stores, so that those two things together give you sustained energy. You shouldn't be crashing, and then you can, work through those excess body fat stores. So here's what I'm going to say. When you're on a fat loss journey, yes, I'm going to say you do need to feel hunger. I'm going to say even if you're not on a fat loss journey and you just kind of want to stay the same, and if you're in, maintenance mode, hunger is okay. I'm going to share a few tips on how to make sure it's not too uncomfortable for you. But hunger is okay to feel. You should be, I tell my kids this all the time. Mom, when they're asking for their 1,922nd snack of the day. But I'm hungry. Okay, dinner's in 30 minutes, but I'm hungry now. That's okay. It's okay to be hungry when you're about to have a meal. In fact, we should be hungry when we're going to have a meal, right? And especially with kids, and we want them to be a little bit more adventurous with what they're trying. Having a little bit of hunger is going to help them do that, right? So we don't need to be eating 40,000 snacks a day. We don't need to be preventing hunger. We don't need to be fearing hunger or scared of it. Hunger is not an emergency. We will not die. And it's just not painful, right? It can be uncomfortable, sure. It's not painful. It's really not a huge deal when you let yourself get to that point. I think a lot of people just fear the hunger, but once it happens, it's really not that big. The other thing is, if it's true physical hunger, it's going to come on gradually. So you're going to be satisfied from your last meal, and then you start to get a little hungry, and then a little hungrier, and then a little hungrier, and it's this gradual increase of hunger. Okay? And when that happens, you can decide the point in which it makes sense to eat. I am not suggesting that you let yourself get famished. So you decide the point where it makes sense to eat, you feel satisfied, and the whole cycle repeats. If hunger is coming on like this, you feel like you're getting hit by a truck every time, and you're hangry, and it's like I need food right this second feeling. Either you've got something else going on with emotional eating, which is super common. Watch some of my old videos. Or you're not actually experiencing physical hunger. What you're experiencing is withdrawal based on certain types of foods that you're eating. So if you're having highly processed foods, especially carbs, and you're having refined flour and sugar and those types of things, then what feels like hunger, but that emergency hunger, is not actually hunger. That's actually withdrawal, because you had that flour or that sugar, and now it's out of your system, and your body's actually withdrawing. Those are actual physical withdrawal symptoms that you can have. So then in that case, you got to eat more real, unprocessed, whole foods, and then you won't have that withdrawal problem anymore. Then you could start to really trust your hunger signals, right? And then again, you're going to feel like it comes on gradual. It's a wave, and you decide. So I've got a program coming up, and inside that program, one of the things we're going to talk about is our hunger cues and the hunger scale. So we're actually going to put a numerical value to how hungry are you right now, because most people don't ever consider that, right? And before we can change anything, we have to be aware. Awareness always comes before a change. So once you can be aware of, oh, right now I'm at this level of hunger, and an hour from now I'm here. Once you become aware and you can sort of put a value to it, and you can say, okay, once I get to this level of hunger, that makes sense for me to eat. Okay? And then ideally, of course, eventually, this is not something that you're going to have to really think so hard about. It's just going to be second nature. The problem is so many of us have removed ourselves from our internal cues, and we're just eating because the food is there. We're going to just finish until the plate's we're done with whatever's on the plate, or we're just eating because we have a certain craving or whatever. We're kind of, or what else? We see the commercial or whatever. There's all these outside influences that are telling us what to eat, when to eat, and all of these things that we've sort of lost touch with our own mind and body system. And once we can get that back on track and start to trust that again, we don't have to think about, numerical values of our hunger scales or anything like that. It just becomes more natural. But because we've removed ourselves from that for so long, most of us, we just have to get used to tapping back into that. And then once we're tapped back into that, then it just becomes second nature, right? We get hungry, not famished, but we're hungry and we know it's time to eat. We eat the right things, it's balanced, it nourishes us, we love the taste of it, all good. You feel satisfied, like really satisfied. Because the other thing is a lot of people have gotten away from their meals and they're just like grazing all day long or having 6 small meals and all of those things. And then they're never actually satisfied with any of those things because they're always like half empty. And that's a problem because then your mind just focuses on food all the time. How are we supposed to turn off all of that noise around food and deprivation and guilt and all of that if we're constantly thinking about food because we're actually never satisfied from our meals? We should be eating and satisfied and then waiting until we're hungry again. A little bit hungry. It doesn't have to be starving. A little bit hungry. In fact, it's better because then you're going to make better food choices if you're just a little bit hungry versus famished, right? So yes, I believe if you're on a fat loss journey or any sort of a health journey, because here's the other thing, if you guys are nerdy like me and you care about things like long-term health and longevity and all of those things, there's a certain set of, how do I word this? Cellular activity that goes on when we are allowing ourselves to get a little bit hungry, okay? One of the things is called autophagy. You may have heard of it. You may have never heard of it. It's fine. Basically what it means is our cells go into cleanup mode. And so they're like taking old cells out and they're recycling the parts that are still good. It's like a whole cleanup crew for your body. So this happens on a larger scale at nighttime, but it can happen also during the day if we allow ourselves to eat until satisfied, take some time off from eating, wait until we get hungry and eat again. When we're doing that, we're not eating every hour or 2 hours, and so our bodies have a chance to go in and sort of clean up all the debris and clean up all the toxins and really and really, really help us promote our own health in the long run. Okay, so if you care at all about like aging and longevity and all that stuff, this is good for that too. Okay, again, I never do anything that's just for fat loss. It's always about health first. But I also get it that it can be uncomfortable, and if you're one of these people that have not felt hunger, true hunger in years, it's going to be hard to start at first. So I do have a few tips written down. You're going to see me looking at my notes for how to sort of decrease the discomfort that comes with the hunger so it's not so uncomfortable for you. It shouldn't be so uncomfortable. Again, you're not waiting until you're famished, okay? We want to nourish our bodies. We don't want to be starving ourselves. So number 1, if you're eating real, balanced, whole foods, I told you about this already. It helps you to get off of the roller coaster, the withdrawal roller coaster, okay? So you're not going to have that immediate, I'm so hungry. Tell yourself the next time that you feel hungry, is this really hunger or is this withdrawal? Ask yourself, did this come on immediately, or was I first a little bit hungry and then a little bit hungrier and then like that, okay? That's the only thing that's true hunger. That immediate thing is not. That's your hormones spiking, crashing, and withdrawal from eating overly processed foods that spike our blood sugar, spike our insulin, and then when those things come crashing down, that's what we're feeling, okay? You're hangry. You're maybe shaky all of a sudden. You could have that hypoglycemia as a reaction. A lot of people say they have reactive hypoglycemia. Well, that's because the definition, reactive hypoglycemia, means it was up here and then it reacted and came down this way. So to have reactive hypoglycemia, you have to first have hyperglycemia to come crashing down like this. And then it's a cycle that is hard to come out of, okay? So if you're switching to more real, unprocessed whole foods, that's going to help you get out of the whole withdrawal thing. So then the hunger is not going to be that big of a deal. It's going to be like a little buzzing, a little humming in the background, okay? Hydrate, because you've probably heard this before. Maybe you haven't, but a lot of times our brain sends us signals that it's hungry when it's actually thirsty, okay? Those signal areas are very close in the brain, and so those wires can almost like get crossed. So if you think you're really hungry, but you feel like maybe, I just ate, I shouldn't be that hungry or whatever, ask yourself, could you use a little bit of water? Drink a glass of water and see how you feel after that. If you're still hungry, that's a different story. But a lot of people will find that then they feel, really good after that because they've hydrated themselves. Wait until you're hungry but not famished. Okay, so I talked about that. It should be gradual. There's a hunger scale. For those of you inside my Transform Body and Mind program, we're starting on Monday. Woohoo! We're going to get into this a lot more. You're going to start to learn how, like I said, to quantify your hunger scale and when to eat and, when to stop eating. And you're going to see your results. And then we're going to talk about overeating and how to deal with that, okay? Because some of you are walking around going, well, I know I should only eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm full, but then nighttime happens and I'm out of control or whatever. We're going to talk about that. We're going to fix that, and you're going to have a lot more control and freedom around your food. Okay, plenty of vegetables and things with fiber in them. Okay, so the only way that we feel satisfied, there's two different ways. There's like a chemical hormonal way based on the contents of what you've eaten, and then there's also a mechanical way that you can feel full. And so this is actually volume of food. So there's many different ways that we can tell our bodies that we've eaten enough. So if you're eating the right types of food, so it's balanced and you've got plenty of protein and plenty of fat and plenty of fiber, like from vegetables, then mechanically you're telling your body it's good because you've had a larger volume of food, right? But also hormonally and chemically, you're telling your body that it's good because you've got tons of micronutrients in there. So the things that your body's looking for, that nourishment, you're getting from your food. Whereas on the other hand, if you are really hungry and then you go and have like a huge Coke, you're not going to feel full. Number one, you haven't really filled yourself up. You don't have that fiber, you don't have that protein and that fat. And number two, there's no nutrients in there. There's no micronutrients. So your body's not like, oh yeah, that's great. I feel really nourished. I'm good to go. Your body's like, what was that? That was nothing. I can't do anything with that. Give me more food. So that's why you can have 600 calories worth of Coke and not feel full at all. But if you have like a nice fully balanced meal that's 600 calories, you would feel stuffed. A lot of you couldn't even finish it probably. So that's where the difference is. And then allow for hunger and satiation. So we talked about this a little bit too. So you're going to wait until you're a little hungry, you're going to eat, and then you're going to be satisfied. So instead of thinking about like trying to break up your meals into a million different meals throughout the day, just really eat until you're satisfied, and then don't think about food for a couple of hours at least, right? 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, that should be no big deal to go that long in between meals if you're balancing your meals the right way and you get off of this whole roller coaster and withdrawal. Okay? I hope that helps. Fat loss and hunger, yes, it may come along with the, it may come along. They may go together, and that's totally fine. That's what I found to be the case with my clients. With myself, when my body fat has been going down, yes, I feel a little hungry, and then I eat, and I feel a little hungry, and I eat, and we go along. It's no big deal, all right? I hope this video helps. If you're interested in the Transform Body and Mind program, so we can dive deeper into this stuff, and you could really fully get control over your food and your eating and your nutrition. We're going to do fitness, and we're going to dive very deep into mindset stuff, so you're going to feel wonderful. It really all comes down to feeling wonderful, doesn't it? Like, people say that they want to look good, but why do you want to look good? Because you want to feel good about the way that you look, right? If you even think about when you donate money, we feel good when we do that. It really all comes back to feeling good. So the main thing is to take care of yourself, take care of your health, feel really great, and then all the other good things that you think are the only things that you want, like the fat loss and all of that, that comes along for the ride. And that's the best way to do it because you're really getting to the source. This is a holistic mind and body approach here. So I'm going to post a link to the Transform Body and Mind program in the comments below. There's only 2.5 days left to sign up and join us. So if you want to get in on this round, please join us now. I will not be running this program again for at least a few more months. And I think you deserve to feel awesome now. So check out the link, see what you think. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.